All right, welcome in. It is $5 Tuesday. Bryan just threw his rally cap on 2 seconds before we went live. We were both back here, kind of complaining that we can't get a timely hit to save our lives. He's like, you know what? We gotta get something going. So he's got the Savannah Bananas hat on. I feel like every team I'm playing against is the Savannah Bananas at this point. It's almost like it's scripted, Bryan. I'm surprised they don't have fans making outs against me at this point. That is where I've been at the last few days, Major League Baseball. I think my team since Friday are probably hitting to a record number of double plays. But the point is, it's like 0-2 night for me last night. It sucks. Losing sucks. I hate it more than anything. But it's part of the game. I look back to last year, and I kind of had the same start to the MLB season. So for me, KBO, AAA are both kind of, okay right now. I'm up in KBO, I'm down in AAA, but started similar to MLB last year and then sort of went on a tear from like June to September. Mm-hmm. It just sucks to lose. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, but we come here every day, try to right the ship. So, I know you didn't have the best night either last night, but I think your Bananas hat's going to get us going.
Let's do it. Yeah, the reason I brought it up was they have now a 6-team league, so they're so popular they can't play everywhere. They played at Texas A&M the other day, 102,000. That's amazing. But anyway, two of their teams just played a weekend series here in Vegas, and some friends go to it, so it was top of my mind.
Hey, anything. I think that's actually what I did last year. I started wearing my hats on the show, and it got a little run going for me. I doubt there's any correlation to that, but we can, baseball players are superstitious. We can be superstitious. The Mariners might've got something going last night. That was a win they really, really needed. And through 5 innings or so of that game, it didn't look like they were going to get it. The Braves have not tip right now, the way the Braves are playing, they go up 4-0 and you're the Mariners and you're coming off of the weekend that you had against the Royals. Things weren't looking good. Let's put it that way. Things were not looking good for the Mariners in that game. And that is a big win to come back. They're down 4-0, top of the 6th inning, Bryan. And they put up a 5 spot, which is something that we really haven't seen the Mariners do much of offensively. They hold on. They get a huge win, 5-4. Tonight they're back. I believe this is the game everyone's getting on MLB Network tonight for the most part. Can the Mariners keep it going here? But also, are they still kind of overvalued?
I kind of jinxed myself. I had Atlanta in the game, and I talked about the Mariners offense. I said, I even got J.P. Crawford. Well, J.P. Crawford hits a home run. So I'm turning everybody on this side of the program. It used to be, it was TB for a long time. There was jinxing people. Now it's my turn, I guess. I don't know. It's baseball, just like sports betting. It's funny. One day you're up, one day you're down. As long as you're up in the long term, you're in good shape here. Sean Murphy came back, and he's back on the team. That helps him out at catcher. That means I don't have to use quite so many of the weaker players. But Murphy, other than that 1 year he had, he has been a little bit of a disappointment. Obviously, he can't stay in the lineup. But yeah, the Braves right now in this game, it looks like Elder is going for Atlanta. A guy who we usually like to go against, but he's having a hell of a season going against George Kirby here. And the line as we speak is about 130 here right now for Seattle. Total of 8. It's being hit right now. Somebody's interested in this game. It's lighting up across the board. So we'll have to see where that ends up. But Elder, as I said, say what you want about him, but he's been very consistent for them so far. And George Kirby, always liked George Kirby. Like every Seattle pitcher, he's better at home. The line makes a lot more sense today, at least to me, than it did yesterday. Yesterday, I didn't mention it on the show, but it was Atlanta leaving Colorado and going out of the altitude. That's usually something I fade, but the line suckered me in there. And I went through and I looked at all the comments on the YouTube version of this, and everybody seemed to join us on Atlanta. So it was one of those games where everybody was on one side. They couldn't believe that the line was there, and they lost. Probably nothing. It was a coin flip game at the end, but still, it sucks to lose that kind of game. As opposed to yesterday, where I did have an opinion on it. This one, I think the line is about where it should be. I don't see the value in it today, and I'm not going to let Elder beat me again by going against him. So I'll be passing on this one.
Listen, it's tough to, if you look at our analysis yesterday, it's hard to poke, it's hard to really fault anyone that liked the Braves, right? We talked about Logan Gilbert. He didn't look good. I watched that whole start. All I could think of is we're both right about him. He just doesn't, his delivery just doesn't look fluid. Very almost like it looks painful to watch him, Bryan, at times. And, he didn't pitch particularly well. Listen, that was a game, that was a game where I think Crawford's home run came with 2 out in the inning. If that doesn't happen, I think it was a little bit unlucky to lose with the Braves. If you had the Braves, I didn't have any action in the game, but if you had the Braves, I think it was unlucky to lose that game. Now, I've come on the show for the last, couple weeks, really go back to the beginning of the year. I'm very high on the Mariners. Probably have been wrong about that to this point in the season with the fact that they're right now 2 games under 500. I do think they probably play better ball in May than they did in April. I'm pretty confident in signing off on that. But even with the result yesterday, they're still kind of overvalued here, in my opinion. They're still too big of a favorite against the Braves. That's just forget who's pitching for a second. Just look at these 2 teams. Look at the way they've played right now. And I just don't know that you can lay $1.35, $1.40 against the Braves. Again, I think if they get out of that inning 4-3, 4-3, and Crawford doesn't homer and it doesn't go to 5-4, I bet the Braves piece the rest of that game together and it's a 3-2 final. So again, value Braves. Don't think I'll be betting this one either way.
Yeah, it's down to 127 in some spots. So there is some people thinking the same as you. When you get a team that hits 4 home runs in a game and they only score 4 runs in a game, that doesn't happen very often. Normally, your home runs result because of how many people are on base. It's about 1.35. So they should have had 5.4 runs in that game, and they had 4 based on that one single stat. So even though I thought we were on the right side of that game, it didn't work out for us, but I thought it was a good handicap.
Yeah, and listen, this is we bring this game up at the top of the show because a lot of you are probably going to get this on TV on the network tonight, and it really is. I mean, this is as good of a series as you're going to find. These are 2 very, very good quality baseball teams, 2 teams that I probably more prefer to back than play against at this point. But I just think in the price range right here, that's the only way I could really justify a play in this one is just like a price play because again. I like both of these teams. I don't really want to bet against the Braves. I have, for someone that's come on this show and hyped up the Braves as much as I have, to lose as much as I have betting against them is criminal. So I'm putting myself in timeout from fading this Braves team at this point. Listen, no one has played better baseball to this point in the season than the Atlanta Braves. That's a fact.
Yeah. So
do you I guess go against them at your own peril at this point. Bryan, this is one I have. So I've got, I guess, some news to report here. And then this is one that the chat badly wants to talk about. So Jonah Heim is on his way to the A's. So you talked about Sean Murphy coming back from the Braves. The Braves quickly made a roster move to get some cash. What that tells me is they're trying to, because they've got some pieces. So the Braves are getting ready to try to make the biggest splash possible in a month or 2, figure out what they need, probably a big bat. But they've got excess at the catcher position. Murphy comes back. Drake Baldwin can catch. They're good at that position. So they're going to send Jonah Heim to the A's for cash. That's a great move for both teams because Jonah Heim was really playing well. He had 5 RBIs on Sunday. I'm sure the A's will find something to do with him. Mike says the A's today, solid plus money. They're smashing lefties lately. But boy, the Phillies, I took a loss fading the Phillies last night. I don't think I was really wrong. The Phillies scored 1 run, and the Marlins just simply could not get a timely hit. So again, let's go back to you. The Phillies, so far, since Don Mattingly takes over, have a really good record. But have they really played better baseball at this point? And do you like them today against the A's, or are you going with the dog?
Yeah, the A's on the season have an 85 WRC plus. They may have been doing better lately, but overall in the season they struggle versus lefties, and now they're playing, if not the best lefty, the second best lefty in Major League Baseball. I didn't understand that pickup. Heim had done nothing until that one game. They had to force to use him in Atlanta. I thought they could have gotten him on the free agent market. Wouldn't have costed them a thing. I know it's just money, but still, I didn't see that as being a weakness for Atlanta for the Athletics. I didn't mind the backup catcher at that point, so I didn't see much use out of that. But Severino going to Philadelphia. I will say that yesterday, as I'm watching the scores flash by, as I'm watching the Golden Knights game on ESPN, and they were talking about, the Phillies remain hot under Don Mattingly, as if he's the difference maker in this. He has done nothing different. Philadelphia has won these games by like 1 run against teams that they should beat. If the public thinks that Philadelphia is so much better now, let them think it. We can bet against the Phillies and make some money. Line right now with Sanchez on the mound about 180, anywhere up from 178 to 190 right now, but total of 9. If I'm playing, I take the Athletics. They are coming out of the altitude, but they're going to Philadelphia as a good hitters park anyway. The line's too high, if you ask me. As much as I like Sanchez, and I do like him a lot, Severino's pitched very well this year, something that we have not expected. So I give the starting pitching edge, obviously, to Philadelphia here. But is it this high? Is Philadelphia deserving to be a 190 favorite here? I don't think so. I think if there's any value on this game, I would play the underdog in it.
So, Bryan, you mentioned good hitters park, and you've got wind gusts blowing out up to about 30 miles an hour here in Philly today. It's actually very windy in the Northeast. It's windy as heck. I'm back in central New York. It's very windy here, and I'm wondering if they're getting some of the similar weather. Of course, Philly is only about 4 hours south of me. Over is 9. I guess that's a little bit. You see Christopher Sanchez on the mound, and you kind of expect him to be treated like an ace at this point. At least I do. So I guess to see that total at 9 is, maybe higher than you would expect with Sanchez on the mound. And then like Severino does get a little like name recognition love. I don't really care for Luis Severino. But even with that being the case, I'm still at, and I just want to make sure I have this calculated correct. I'm still a shade over 9 on the total. And I don't know that factors in the weather, which again, it's a small ballpark. It's a hitter's park. Always has been a park that favors offense. And you've got winds potentially blowing out. And then with the A's, they're swinging at everything. So while Chris Sanchez was solid last time out, I mean, he's got 2 outings, Bryan, in the last month where he's given up double-digit hits. I believe a 12 hit. He gave up 12 in one start and 11 in the other. And the reason that I bring that up here, no one is swinging more than the A's. I mean, they collectively swing at more pitches than anyone in the league, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's sort of how the A's are, like, because Vegas does this too. It's kind of like what they're teaching, I think. They're looking for guys with very, very good bat to ball skills, where it's like they don't mind if they're not, and it's not that they can't take their walks. I think Nick Kurtz had like a legendary like walk streak going, something of that nature. I don't know if he still has it going. The point is, like, a guy that has 2 outings in the last month that's given up 12 hits in one, 11 hits in the other, and he's up against the team that's supposed to be the underdog here. Wind blowing out. Tell me how this one doesn't at least get to 9 runs.
Yeah, if you're taking a look at the weather reports here, that is the one that is expected to have more runs than normal. They're expecting 1.39 more runs than a normal game in Philadelphia. 32% more home runs in this game. They're expecting 0.71 more home runs than you would get here. And that one home run, as I said, is 1.35 runs on a normal game. So that's about one run right there out of that 1.4, basically, that they're expecting. So, yeah, this one in Washington are both in this very similar. The wind's blowing a little bit harder here in Philadelphia than it is in Washington, but both of them are expected to be the top offensive producing stadiums on today's card. So, yeah, I have no problem looking at a higher scoring game here as well.
I've also said this about the A's pretty much the last couple of years. They are they're a streaky team. When it's going good, it's going good. From like when it's going good, they're scoring runs. When it's not, it's a lot of strikeouts. It's a lot of ugly at bats. The last 5 games for the A's, 5, 6, 5 in a loss, 6 in a loss, 7 in a win. So they've scored 5 or more the last 5 games. They're swinging the bats. Like, I was complaining to you because all I do is complain these days, Bryan. I was complaining to you on Friday because, of course, your Cleveland Guardians, held off a rally by the A's, and Stephen Kwan made a great play to take away probably 3 runs, right? If that ball is hit another foot, it's a grand slam. There was a lot of good at-bats in that game that didn't necessarily lead to runs. So you look at the last 5 days for the A's, they're having good at-bats. And I kind of think the Phillies at least do their part at home here. So I'm just doing like simple math. Can I get to 4 on both sides? I think I can get the 4 on both sides. So why not an over 9 flat? It's like minus 110. I think that's a good bet.
I can't argue.
I think Bryan and I do make good bets, even when we are losing. I think you want to, I look back at last year. I truly believe this is the time to like buy in. You always want to buy before the run. Okay. That's in anything. I would say that should be your methodology with buying picks. Find someone that's underachieved a little bit, buy them before they get hot. I don't care who it is. Myself, Bryan, Tokyo Brandon, Gianni, doesn't matter. Like, and Koken used to always say that too. Like, it's a great strategy for pick buying. Point is, we have a great special on the website, double play. Myself, Bryan, myself, TB, me and Tokyo Brandon. TB will be back, I think, later this week or Monday. But he's still obviously giving out picks. So check out that special. And of course, the long-term specials on the website right now. Best prices they're probably going to be all summer. $100 off of 30-day. And then we've got a really good annual all access that knocks it down to under $100 a month. So check that out. Take advantage of that if you feel so inclined to buy our picks at WagerTalk, which is where it's the only way we get compensated for this. So again, we very much appreciate the support. And we also appreciate all the likes, subscribes, the comments on the YouTube page. I try to get in there at least once a day to answer any of the questions that you have. I'll answer questions about certain games, ones we missed. So jump in the comments, ask away, ask us a question. We'll try to get in there. Either myself or Bryan or TB when he's back we try to hit everyone, at least one of us. So yeah. And again, let's but we also try to give out winners on the show, Bryan. So let's get right back into it. See if we can find a couple for today. Jason Lambert and a couple other folks says they're thinking about taking the Rangers today. That would be the Texas Rangers coming to the Bronx to take on the New York Yankees. Jacob deGrom on the hill for the Rangers. He's spent plenty of time in New York over the years. And he will go up against one of the newest Yankees. One of potentially the arms of the future. Although these guys never pan out for the Yankees, though. Like the pitcher of the future never pans out, and then the one that wasn't getting the hype, Cam Schlittler, is like the next Sandy Koufax. So do what you will with that. It's Elmer Rodriguez. It's Jacob deGrom at Yankee Stadium. How do you see this one?
Yeah, deGrom has got a full 7 days off, so he's come back rested here. That's always something you want to take a look at. You don't want Jacob deGrom on 5 days rest or something like that because of his injury situation. But yeah, you look at Texas here, and from a hitting standpoint, they're a little bit weak lately. The only one that's been hitting well is Josh Young who is batting cleanup normally here. Third base, he's at 39, but nobody else in this team is hitting well right now. They're not in the top 100. But I do like the team, but they play in what has become in Texas a real pitcher's ballpark, which is totally switched around from a few years ago. But if you take a look at the guys in this lineup, they have not been hitting well. So that's my only concern. And DeGrom in his career is used to his teammates not hitting well when he takes the mound. The bullpen looks in pretty good shape here for Texas. We've got Latz, who's become the closer of the week in Texas, and you got Junis. Neither one of them have pitched the last 3 days. In fact, they're in really good shape in the bullpen. So I think we're going to get a good pitched game out of Texas here, which is always important when you're at Yankee Stadium, which if you can hold the Yankees down in Yankee Stadium, you've got a chance, and there's not too many people that have been able to do it. The Yankees, on the other hand, as you mentioned, you've got Rodriguez going, Elmer. I don't know how you pronounce it from the Spanish saying, but Rodriguez. And he's their number 3 organization prospect. And he was okay in his first start. They ranked him at 102, whereas the rest of the Yankee starters the last 14 days are 7th, 9th, 24th, and 60th. So when the Yankees starting pitching is good, they are a hard team to beat because they've got that great hitting. They've got good hitters from 1 through 9 on this team. You don't find too many other teams that do that. The Cubs and the Braves, I would guess, especially the Cubs. I really like their lineup. But the bullpen's been used a little bit more here at Yankee Stadium, or for the Yankees. Bednar has only pitched once in the last 6 days, which is good, but he still didn't look overly impressive. I don't know how much longer they're going to have to go with him. I prefer Fernando Cruz in that role, but he does walk a little bit. But they've got some good quality arms in that bullpen. So if I'm looking at this, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. We've got a total of 8.5 here to the under, which is a fine number. The Yankees are currently at about a 120 to 130 favorite. I like the under here, especially in the first 5 when DeGrom's in there. Maybe a Yankees team total under. Let me check that out real quick here. The Yankees are at 4.5, under 140, something to that range. So they got to score 5. I don't know if they're going to score 5 against this Texas team. So it's either the under in the game or the New York Yankees under would be the way I would look.
I don't know if I buy Elmer Rodriguez. Here's the thing with, I think the Yankees are throwing him in the big leagues, hoping he has a couple of good starts, going to put him back at Scranton, and then they're going to try to trade him because that's what the Yankees do. They don't keep guys like this, especially when you've got like some of the guys they have coming back. That's neither here nor there. The reason I'm just, they really fast tracked this guy. Like he was in A ball last year. He basically pitched in every level of minor league baseball. Didn't pitch particularly well when he got to Scranton last year, but we'll give him a break. Like, listen, you start the year in A and you make it to AAA, like by the end of the year, like we'll give you a break if you don't come in and deal in AAA because you're still accumulating innings along the way. So I look in this year, you're going to look, and this is where it's very, very difficult, in my opinion, to like look at AAA numbers, and unless you're actually watching these games or unless you actually understand AAA, the league, so on and so forth. You look at Elmer Rodriguez's numbers in AAA this year. I mean, and they're sparkling. They look great, right? But then you realize he's faced Rochester twice, Durham, and Syracuse, who are 3 of the worst lineups at AAA this year. Like Rochester hasn't hit all year. Durham has no one. And Syracuse's lineup, until they called up AJ Ewing, has been terrible. So he's had 4 starts against 3 of the easier lineups at the AAA level. Forget about like the numbers when you're in the PCL and every ballpark's a launching pad, right? Those are, so it's like you have inflated numbers on the other side of the country when everyone's playing in Salt Lake and Albuquerque or wherever. And then you have these numbers like this one where all these games for the most part occurred. It's cold as hell, right? It's been cold here. Some of the Northeast AAA games this year have been played in like 30-degree weather. I was at the Scranton game the other night, froze the whole time. So it's like, you look at these numbers, they look really good, but like I just don't buy it. And then he just faced the Rangers, right? So I'm pretty sure the Rangers are seeing him for the second time. I think that's who he made his debut against. Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he not pitch against the Rangers last week?
I don't remember.
I just want to double check that because I'm going off of memory right there, and I don't want to misspeak. But I'm pretty sure his debut was against the Rangers. So let me just put, yes, it was in Texas, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks. That's not great. And so now you had 4 of the worst lineups, well, 3 of the worst lineups 4 times, saw him at AAA this year. He comes to the big leagues. He pitches against the Rangers. Doesn't have the best stat line. The 4 walks are concerning. That same team of big leaguers gets to see him here. That's not great, in my opinion, for a young kid that was at A-ball at the beginning of last year. So I like the Rangers in this one. And then I go back to something you've said, Bryan. Jacob deGrom in the bigger games, I feel like he unloads the clip a little bit more. He's been weird the last couple of years where it's like early in the season, he only really wants to go 5 innings. He's really more concerned about getting to the end of the year and not being hurt. But it's like you give him the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Is he not coming to play? Like, is he not going to say, no, I got this one? This is like, he's cared about these bigger starts more than like, oh, we've got the Pirates at home. Is there something to that here for you too?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense as he pitched along for the Mets. They were little brother in New York, and he obviously would like to pitch well there, and he's been in a lot of big game situations in his career. So, yeah, I did not realize off the top of my head that Rodriguez has pitched against Texas the week prior. That could be enough to put people on Texas. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, from a value standpoint, there's certainly I think deGrom, the Rangers at that price against essentially a AAA arm is hard to pass up. That may that may be on my card or my parlay leg. That's a you don't get that subset against a AAA guy that's just getting called up all the time. It just feels like you almost have to play. I'll probably be kicking myself if I don't play it in some capacity. So. Yeah, that's an interesting one right there.
It's just like when I like to use rookies come up that are lefties because you don't see them very often, and they usually don't play the same team back to back. So that's one of the reasons why I like to bet that. So yeah, if they've just seen them, it's not much. A guy has been pitching a certain way his entire career, and he sees the team the week prior, and what can he change? Is he young? Is he old enough to be able to alter what he normally does? We will see.
No, and the answer to that is no. No one just promoted is changing anything in their second start. That's just not how it works. They're not going to make any changes, especially because he got away. He didn't pitch terrible. He's going to come with the same game plan. That does not happen in your second start in the big leagues. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm glad we sort of talked about that one, and that is one that I will give a pretty solid look to today. And also, the Rangers are a good baseball team. I think they're going to be better than 500. I think they're a little bit. I expect them to play their way above 500. I like that team. Schumacher's a good coach, pretty good roster. I'm kind of in on them long term. All right, let's go back. Beatson Bryan says. We got a super chat here, so shout out to you for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you for that. Buddy, I see you, buddy, with the donation. So we will. He just says he's just hyping us up. He says 50% boost on a 3-leg with total odds of even money. Bring the heat for me in today's show. All right, buddy, we will. I think we're going to get you better than even money on a 3-teamer because everything we've talked about to this point has been underdog or close to even money. So we'll keep it going. But let's go to this one. Bryan wants to talk about the Giants, and we got to bring up some roster moves here as well. Nice win for the Giants, 3-2 last night. They got sick of losing. They got sick of watching this lethargic team. They said, you know what? Jesus Rodriguez, Bryce Aldridge, you guys are in. Let's go. Bryce Aldridge has been awesome. They were definitely manipulating his service time. He should have been on the team out of spring training. There's absolutely no reason he wasn't. Now he's here, Bryan. Giants win 3-2 last night. A little bit of an offensive boost. Do you see them having a good game today?
Well, I was expecting to get a much better line on San Diego in this game. I'm not a Bueller fan at all, but I was expecting something in at least the 140 range, where you can lay as low as 124 here with San Francisco with their ace on the mound and Webb. I was fully expecting all night long. I says, well, it looks like I'm going to have to hold my nose and bet Bueller, but the line is reasonable on San Francisco. I thought for sure that I was going to get some line value, and it's just not there. So if I'm playing, I'm laying with San Francisco because Webb compared to Bueller is a huge advantage, and Webb has not pitched extremely well this year. The defensive problems I thought San Francisco was going to have coming into the season have not been that way. They've been one of the better defensive teams out there. So San Diego's a team I didn't like coming into the season, and I guess I've changed my mind slightly more on them, but I don't want to back Bueller unless I'm getting a lot more than the 115, 110, 117 that are out there right now. So what I thought would be a play on San Diego with this line, you have to make your adjustments. You're not playing teams, and I say this all the time. Any professional bettor I know, you're not betting teams, you're betting numbers. And if I really wanted San Diego and I was a fan of San Diego, I would bet San Diego. But you're not getting the value, at least in my mind, that you normally would. So if I'm playing, I'm laying. But luckily, there's enough games where I don't have to get involved in this one.
I said this a couple weeks ago, and was somewhat correct when I talked about it. When I felt like I watched the Giants. I think it was their series with the Nationals. I said, they finally like I don't know if it's the college manager, the fact that they've got some younger guys on the team, but I think they're going to be super streaky. I think they're an emotional team. I think you're going to see them get down on themselves when things are going bad. I think when things are going good, you're going to see Drew Gilbert biting someone's jersey because he's a psycho. Like they just have this like when the vibes are low, they're going to be truly low. And when things are going good, it's going to be contagious. And you kind of saw, I pointed that out in the National Series. They came out, took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, and then they took 2 of 3 from the Marlins. So it's like that would be considered a week and a half of playing really good ball. Now, they go on the road in Philly. What happens? A game gets rained out. They play a doubleheader. They get walked off twice. In 2 games, they could have won. What happens after that? They go out and they play awful in Tampa all weekend. Played terrible. Couldn't score. They scored 2 runs the entire series. Credit to Tampa. They've been playing good baseball. Credit to them. Good pitching, playing good ball. But the Giants played horrific all weekend in Tampa. So what happens last night? They come back home. They call up a couple of new guys. Something happens and it goes right. They get a 3-2 win. Don't be surprised if this is a little bit contagious. And now they're home for a week. Pirates and Padres are beatable teams, in my opinion. I could see the Giants having a good homestand. I would be on Logan Webb right here. I think the organization wants Eldridge up there. I thought he'd be up last year. He had a good spring. Again, Bryan, I think it was nothing more than trying to manipulate control of him longer term. And but he forced their hand. He's had like a 900 OPS in the minors. Had to get him up. He's going to start hitting, and he hits for power, something that the Giants haven't had a ton of. So I'm in on the Giants right now for this week. They're home all week. They get a 3-2 win last night. I think it's contagious, and they win again here. Noah Jones, yeah. I mean, hey, we can take a little credit for this one. Noah Jones says, close your eyes and take the under on all these Rays games, Bryan. It's every day. Another one last night that plays under the total. I would love to know. I don't have it in front of me, but it's got to be some sort of run at this point of unders. I don't know that there's been more than 6 or 7 runs in a Rays game in over a week. And then last night, of course, it's a 5-1 win. The day before, or all series against the Giants, every game was like 3 runs or less. The whole series with the Guardians, I don't think there was more than 6 runs scored in any of those games. The whole series with the Twins, I don't think there was much. I was at one of those games. There really wasn't much scoring in that series. Today we go Rays, Jays, and I just want to make sure I'm quoting the pitching. It looks like Gossman, Rasmussen. I guess that could be an under again. Are you running it back with the under in this game is the question.
Well, as opposed to the last 3 teams that they played, Toronto's actually got an offense. It hasn't looked great at times this year, but the line is at 7 right now, and I don't think I'd go 7. Even if I'm going to play it, I would play the first half under as opposed to the full game, because Gaussman is a guy who's been very good all season long. He's really pitched very consistently all year long. Rasmussen had like one start that he didn't look good, but other than that, I really like Rasmussen. So maybe the first half under, but from a full game, Toronto's a lot better hitting team than the teams that they had played. And for to have an American League game here, yes, it's a good pitcher's ballpark in Tampa. It was a good pitcher's ballpark before they changed the roof or whatever. But still, 7 runs. I would have rather had there, and there is some 7.5s out there. If I can get 7.5, I'm more interested. 7, I don't know if I go anything lower than 7 on that. But if you do like the under, I would recommend the first 5.
I think that's the books finally making the appropriate adjustment. If you remember, we talked about a lot of those totals, kind of being surprised it was still 7.5. Those runs are so that half run might be if you're an under better, that 7 to 7.5 is probably the most key number there is, right? Because if you're 7 is already 7.5 is already a tough number to stay under as it is. But like when you go to 7 from 7.5 to 7, you take 4-3 out of the equation to win the game, right? And it's like how many games, you get to 3-3 and then it ends 4-3. That's got to be one of the more common scores in Major League Baseball. So I think that's like an understated move that people like maybe don't put enough stock into when they're betting totals sometimes. Like 7.5 and 7 is such a massive, massive difference. I'm not saying I want to come out and fire an over here, but again, I think that's a huge difference. Now, from a numbers perspective, I am still only at like 6.8, but boy, that is such a big move that doesn't get enough attention. That's kind of like 3.5 to 3 in football, in my opinion. 7.5 to 7 baseball under. Like you simply can't take under 7. If there was any a chance at having 7.5, and now you're only getting 7, you can't do it, in my opinion. So I do lean under here based on my numbers, but I couldn't do it at 7. It would have to be a reasonably priced 7.5. Colin Gregory says I'm under 7.5 minus 115. That's fine. If you can get that, that's fine. I'd roll with that. Because again, I like both starters. Rays haven't been hitting. They've been winning these games by manufacturing runs. And you know what? The Jays, Bryan, Leonard, I still think they need some reinforcements for this lineup to like really pop off. Like they're just not what they were supposed to be yet, and probably won't be until they're fully healthy. So I do lean under if you can get 7.5. All right, Bryan, we need a parlay winner. We haven't had one in a few days. We had such a good week last week, which is still padding our record, by the way. So even with the little losing streak on the parlays, we're still up 1.3 units, so still ahead on the season. Do you have any idea where you want to go with the parlay leg?
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2 teams who have struggled as of late, Minnesota and Washington. Taj Bradley on the mound for Minnesota, Cade Savali on the mound for Washington. Current line of this game is about 110 on Washington, total of 9. Very straightforward here. 2 teams that they have rated pretty equally. And in this game, I'm going to fade Taj Bradley. Taj Bradley made adjustments in the preseason. It looked really good. It looked really good so far this season. But he's had a little bit of a regression. If you take a look at him as of late, the last 14 days, Taj Bradley is the number 129 pitcher in Major League Baseball. Overall, he's number 24. So he's had a great season so far, but the regression is starting to come. And he's playing, he plays Cleveland next Sunday, but he'll be playing with Washington here. And I think he's going to come up a little bit short here. They had yesterday off, so the bullpen should be in pretty decent shape, but Topa, who's one of their closers that they're using right now, he pitched the 2 days before. Orsi threw 24 pitches on Sunday. Rogers threw 32 pitches on Sunday. So I think they're going to get hit a little bit here. And when you take a look at Washington's not hitting supremely well right now, but they do have their best hitter, C.J. Abrams, the cleanup hitter, is 15th in baseball the last 7 days, and overall on the season, he's doing pretty well. So I like the starting pitcher here with Kate Cavalli. He started the year, I was real high on him coming out of the spring. He looked real good in the spring, and he really, needless to say, he got his ass kicked early on. He's pitched much better the last 3 starts. In fact, the last 14 days, he's ranked at 43rd, and he's brought up his overall all the way to 61st. So I like Kate Cavalli here. And then take a look at the bullpen. The bullpen did not play yesterday. And really, other than Poland, who was the starter on Sunday for an inning or two, everybody else is available. So I like the Washington situation here. We're always concerned about the Washington bullpen, but I don't think the Twins bullpen is that great either. So I will either play Washington in the game or Washington in the first half. And to make it easier on everybody out there who may not be able to get first half plays, although if you're not, you need to find another out. But I will go with Washington here. You can get as low as 104, but there's plenty of 110s out there. So let's just go 110 for Washington with Savali over Minnesota with Bradley.
Yeah, this is a really interesting, first of all, series, but also stretch of the season for the Twins. Because, like, if you look at the Twins from now till May 20th, they only play 6 road games, okay? And those road games are 3 at the Nats and 3 at the Guardians. Other than that, they're home pretty much the entire month of May up until they won't play on the road again until the 22nd. So this is, and they were home this past week and they dropped 2 of 3 to the Jays. So again, you're right now, if you're Washington, you're 15-20. Joe Ryan just hit the IL, right? You have no bullpen. So the Nationals actually, this is probably one of the few series where the Nationals will actually have a bullpen edge, because the Twins have no bullpen right now. At least, like, not. I don't think I would say the Twins' pen is better than anyone at this point, with like what they're going to be running out there on a daily basis. So basically, if you're the Twins and you don't win over this next like stretch, you're probably, this is probably going to be a total rebuilding year. You're probably going to get all these guys that are currently at St. Paul that have upside: Walker Jenkins, Kalen Culpepper, Manuel Rodriguez, Gio Gonzalez. They're kind of Ben Ross. They have a whole bunch of like good players down there. And you're just going to say, you know what? We're going to rebuild this year. Let's get these kids some time at the majors. Maybe we can trade a couple of them. We'll start to build for next year. So the reason I'm bringing that up is, I'm trying to figure out where their heads are at right now, because you got to think, Bryan, does the Joe Ryan injury sort of fast track that a little bit? It's just almost like, with him going down, I'm just wondering if the Twins are going to, like, if like the Nationals right now, I think the Nats still think they can win games. They got new management in there. They basically they said, you know what? We think we've identified the guys that should be at the big leagues, the guy that should be at AAA. We're going to stick it out. That's why you haven't seen Dylan Cruz. That's why you haven't seen Henry Ford. Like, they think that they've got the right mix of guys at AAA, or at the big leagues, the right mix of guys at AAA. The Nationals just seem like a more serious team right now. And they're both sitting there with the same record. The game's in D.C. I'm kind of with you. I think if the Nats take 2 of 3 here, they might put the Twins out of their misery. I know I was sort of high on the Twins coming into the season, but I couldn't foresee the injury to Joe Ryan, and just the lack of relief pitching is so concerning. I think we might see a Twins free fall. I think I'm with you here on the Nats.
Yeah, you mentioned Jenkins. He ran into the fence and got hurt again yesterday.
Yep.
That's the problem with their guys in the minors, are they're really injury prone. That was the situation with the Cleveland rookie who's really gone off. He's hurts himself all the time. When he's in the game, he's great, but you got to stay healthy. And they weren't. I'm sure they weren't happy to see him running into a fence. But especially in a game in the minors, that really doesn't matter. Even though the people bet minor league baseball, nobody cares. They don't have to win in minor league baseball. You're there as a training situation, trying to evaluate players.
Yeah, I mean, you want to take it a step further. Just think of, like, remember Luke Keschel last year breaks his arm. I think he had 2 injuries. Like, broke his arm, came back. I think tore like a thumb ligament. That's another Twins youngster. I think Kalen Culpepper missed a few games. So you're right about that. And it's just like with that stuff starting to pile up, I really think, and you've talked about Twins ownership and the way they sold the entire team off last year, you almost start to think like they start like really looking at next year as the year that they can actually compete. And if you can front run that a little bit, like they're 15-20 right now. The reason I'm bringing that up as part of this handicap is like 3 weeks from now, we might see it's really very possible they're 12 games under 500. And so you want to know this now. You don't want to start, you want to know this now and bet on it. Not, oh, okay. Because 3 weeks from now, if they're 12 games under 500, no value. Right now, you can get them on, they're on the road. You can get the Nationals at basically minus 105, minus 110, minus 110. That's really not bad.
Yeah, I agree. Minnesota situation, we all know what's coming. I thought we did before the season started, but they got off to a pretty good start. I think that actually kind of delayed the eventual, and that'll be what happens in Minnesota. The problem is these kids better perform when you bring them up, and they don't. If they're going to lose, they could lose with the guys learning more in the minors. When they bring them up, they better start hitting, because that's what Cleveland's problem has been. They bring up these guys from the minors that they've been in the program for all these years. They're supposed to be good. When was the last time they had a middle infielder? They have all these shortstops, drafts all these shortstops, and they still stink at that position.
I knew I was going to use one of the games we talked about for the parlay. I'm going to throw the Giants in there. I'm a believer in the guys that they got called up improving the team. I'm a believer in vibes for that team. It worked the last time we talked about it. I think they're going to be super streaky. I think that's, part of, having the college manager. It just seems like an emotional team that can build on good things happening and that are going to let bad things spiral, which we saw last weekend with the 2 walk-off losses and then going and getting swept by the Rays. So they get a win last night. I haven't liked the Padres all year. I'll throw the Giants in as my leg of the parlay. We broke that game down already, so check out the replay of the show for the full breakdown of that game. Bryan, what am I looking at for a Giants money line right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing anywhere from 24 to 30. 27 seems to be predominant.
Yep, I actually see minus 127 at multiple places. So we'll go with that. Again, great specials up on the WagerTalk site, and it is $5 Tuesday. So in addition to all the specials, Bryan and I will both have, everyone actually, myself, Bryan, Tokyo Brandon, anyone that's betting other sports will have plays up for $5. So check that out on everyone's page at the WagerTalk site today for Tuesday. 2-teamer today for Bryan and I. Bryan's going to go with the Nationals minus 110. And then I'm going to go with the Giants minus 127. Let's get back in the win column today. Hope everyone has a great day, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for more Total Bases.